Rishi, a royal knight who once believed in honor and duty, ends up dying like a useless loser during the invasion by Emperor Arnold of the Galkine Empire. But instead of finding peace in death, she wakes up again, 5 years in the past, right at the moment her pathetic fiancé, Prince Dietrich, accuses her of fake crimes and kicks her out like the trash he is. But this time, she does not even flinch, because this nonsense has happened 6 times already. It is her personal hellish time loop circus, where she dies at 20 and wakes up again at 15, over and over, trapped in an endless replay of misery. In one loop she is a merchant, pretending to sell overpriced trash. In another, a herbalist who smells like mold. Then a scholar who writes books nobody reads. A maid polishing floors like a slave. And finally, a knight who ends up shitting the battlefield. Every version of her life ends the same way, dying like a cheap side character in a bad story. Now in her 7th life, she vows to live quietly, maybe even lazily, doing absolutely nothing heroic. But fate, being an ugly clown, decides she deserves no rest. She runs into Arnold again, the same murderous shithead who killed her in her previous life. This version of Arnold is 5 years younger, not yet the cold emperor, but still a trashy crown prince full of ego. He stares at her confidence like a hungry wolf seeing a steak, while she looks at him like he is a bag of poop. Prince Dietrich appears again, trying to show off his royal charm, but Rishi publicly destroys his reputation. The spineless prince can barely hold back his tears as she even pities his next fiancée, Lady Marie. Arnold, seeing her boldness, tests her strength by attacking. She blocks it easily, proving her sword skills are sharper than both their brains combined. The horny crown prince becomes obsessed, calling her a woman worth conquering. Then, out of nowhere, he asks her to marry him, shocking everyone. Rishi stands there thinking that the man who once killed her now wants to bang her. The royal circus continues, and the king himself storms into the scene looking like a walking disappointment. He cannot believe the stupidity his pathetic son has displayed in public. This ancient man apologizes to Rishi for raising such a royal idiot, begging her to accept the horny crown prince's marriage proposal to keep peace between their kingdoms. Rishi agrees, though not because she cares about politics. She simply wants to uncover why this future emperor decides to turn into a blood-soaked tyrant who kills his own father. For now, she plays along, secretly thinking that marrying the man who once murdered her might be the ultimate revenge. Arnold, the confused horny prince, seems pleased, yet Rishi makes it clear that he is forbidden to touch her. Lol, he is not getting any cats. She declares she will not do any royal duties either. Basically, she is the boss here, and Arnold is going to be a simp, just like you guys. Later, during their journey to Galkane, a group of bargain bin bandits tries to attack, proving that stupidity is alive everywhere. Arnold surprises her by sparing their lives after easily defeating them. For a supposed future tyrant, he acts suspiciously kind, which only makes him look like a handsome contradiction wrapped in trauma. But when his soldiers get poisoned from the bandits' weapons, Rishi steps in with her knowledge of herbs, mixing an antidote that saves them. The knights instantly start worshipping her like she is some goddess. Arnold even thanks her, calling his knights precious friends, showing a rare soft side that makes Rishi wonder what later broke this man into a monster. The thought of uncovering his dark heart both excites and disgusts her. Arnold then reveals she is technically his hostage for political reasons, which makes her grin. She considers it the perfect excuse to do nothing all day. Upon arriving at Galkine, she moves into a dusty old villa that nobody wants and cleans it herself like a mommy before Christmas. The guards stare in confusion, too afraid to question the crazy noblewoman scrubbing floors. She later helps Elsie, a timid rookie maid bullied by older jealous hags, showing that even lazy people can act like saints when bored. Our horny prince becomes even more obsessed, admiring every strange skill she shows. He promises to let her do whatever she wants, unaware that the heartless genius he loves plans to uncover his inner darkness and maybe break more than just his empire. Later, during a royal party filled with arrogant brats in fancy dresses, Arnold decides to make things official and announces Rishi as his fiancé. This does not sit well with the jealous noble daughters, and they try to humiliate Rishi with childish tricks. But Rishi, who has lived 7 lives already, sees through every prank before it even starts, and the useless noble girls end up embarrassing themselves. Arnold, the show-off emperor in training, invites Rishi to dance. She plays along, though in her head she is analyzing every move of this murderous gentleman to figure out how he killed her so easily before. She notices scars on his left shoulder, old marks that weaken his swing, and realizes his movements are slower because of it. The mysterious meathead quietly asks her to keep this secret, and she agrees, though she secretly thinks he has more hidden weaknesses than his empire ever will. Among the maids, the bullying still runs wild, mostly caused by Diana, the senior maid with an ego larger than her paycheck. The bitter hag picks on Elsie and other juniors just to feel powerful. Rishi notices this and determines the reason. During the maid selection, Diana shits her skirt when she learns that she has been rejected, and that Elsie and other junior maids have been selected. Rishi, however, points out that Diana as a merchant's daughter is the only maid who can read and write, which helped her learn faster, causing her to become frustrated at slow learners like Elsie. Realizing her mistake, the shame-soaked senior apologizes sincerely. Rishi then shocks everyone by declaring that from now on, her royal villa will turn into a training ground for all junior maids, and Diana will be in charge of teaching them literacy. Arnold observes this and is amused by how she can manipulate chaos into order. So, like a good simp, he tries to flatter her and calls her unpredictable and brilliant. This horny tyrant has grown even more enchanted, blind to the fact that she's studying him like a future autopsy subject. Rishi later arranges a meeting with Kane Tully, the greedy merchant who once made her his apprentice in another life. She intends to make him her ally again, but the old fox of the Arya Trading Company rejects her offer without hesitation. He mocks the idea that a future queen would bother working with his small-time business unless she has some sneaky political motive. This boomer uncle acts like he is above royal games, too proud to see the prophet standing in front of him. Rishi grits her teeth, knowing she needs him to stop the future war. She remembers that in another life, Kane had a weakness for risky gambling, especially when there is a woman with huge assets to challenge his pride. The cowardly merchant thinks he is untouchable, but Rishi plans to grab him by the coin purse and prove otherwise. She sneaks out of the palace under the moonlight, defying every royal rule. To strike a deal, she promises that if in 7 days she builds a profitable business from nothing, Kane must agree to partner with her without a single complaint. The bold schemer bets everything on her wit, knowing that one small win could change the Empire's future. That horny Arnold finds out and becomes irritated, not because she left the palace, since he already lets her do what she wants, but because the reckless princess went alone without guards. The possessive idiot pretends to be calm, saying that next time she sneaks out, he should come with her for protection. Deep down, everyone knows what kind of protection this perverted loser actually means. He wants to guard more than just her safety. Later, over a midnight snack, Rishi tells him about her bet with Kane but hides the juicy details. Arnold, trying to be the smug psycho, laughs in amusement, pretending not to care. Then, out of nowhere, he warns her to stay away from his younger brother Theodore. The following day, Theodore appears like a wannabe savior wrapped in bad intentions. He tells her that he will free her from being the hostage of Arnold, acting like a noble hero while looking like a cheap knockoff prince. Rishi senses something off but stays quiet. Later that night, she overhears Arnold setting up a new military policy and is commanding soldiers to protect civilians instead of just nobles. This confusing idiot emperor keeps showing compassion, leaving Rish wondering how this man later becomes a monster. That night, Theodore sends her a fake note signed under the name of Arnold, asking her to meet him at a church, and this gullible fool goes alone. Unaware she is walking into another honey trap where Faith gets on its knees and prays for something that isn't holy. Theodore, the discount prince with hero syndrome, tries to win Rish's sympathy by calling Arnold a war criminal who even murdered their own mother. He looks proud of himself, thinking this revelation will shock her. Instead, Rishi stands unimpressed, telling him she already knows. Then the real bomb drops and Arnold himself steps out from the shadows. The wannabe revolutionary realizes he just embarrassed himself in front of both of them and runs off like the pathetic coward he is. Arnold hardens, but with fury. Rishi asks him why everyone believes he is pure evil when he keeps doing good things. He gives a vague answer, hinting at all the blood he spilled during war. Inside, this brooding murderer cum simp seems almost impressed by how calmly she confronts him about his crimes. The tension thickens, and before she can process what's happening, this horny crown prince shocks her by stealing their first kiss. Later, determined not to get distracted by this horny warlord, Rishi focuses on her business deal. She ropes her maids into helping her make nail polish, turning her royal quarters into a chaotic cosmetic factory. The clumsy maids nearly spill everything, but somehow, the product starts to shine. Elsie, The adorably naive worker bee mentions that poverty in the kingdom is getting worse. This gives Rishi an idea, and she offers Kane exclusive rights to produce the polish, but demands he hire only workers from the slums. The money-hungry merchant scoffs, doubting her plan. Then she hits him with his own wisdom, reciting a line he once taught her in another life, and the greedy idiot freezes, confused how she knows that, and when he still refuses, she drops her final card, and that is his sick sister, Arya. Kane immediately bursts into anger until Rishi reveals she has been secretly growing herbs and has already created medicine that can cure Arya, free of charge, even if he rejects her offer. The blow hits his pride harder than a tax audit. Realizing he has been outplayed, Kane drops his arrogance and accepts her deal without another word. The fallen businessman finally understands that she is not just smart, she is dangerously smart. Rishi has been working for days without sleeping, and now her body has given up, so she collapses like a burned-out genius. Later that night, she is kidnapped from her bed by Elsie and Kamal, who drag her to the hideout of Theodore. But the backstabbing maid and her dim-witted guard clearly have no idea they just abducted the Empire's biggest headache. Flashbacks reveal that Rishi actually agreed to the kidnapping plan, proving again she is the master manipulator of chaos. Elsie and Kamal, both born in the slums, had been working with Theodore for years in his so-called charity work. The wannabe savior prince believes feeding a few orphans will fix the Empire's problems. Now, Theodore demands Arnold give up his claim to the throne, thinking that would bring peace. But the walking disappointment doesn't realize Arnold already planned for this. Arnold warns him not to underestimate Rishi. Right on cue, she enters dramatically, having already beaten her guards and escaped. The smiling demon stuns everyone with her calm entrance, explaining she has figured out the real plan of Theodore, to dishonor himself and get exiled so he can stop living under his brother's shadow. The pathetic prince thought self-destruction was bravery. Once exposed, he again runs off. By this time, he has got a PhD in running. Rishi, however, turns her fury toward Arnold, calling him out for pretending not to care about Theodore, just to make the boy's pain easier if Arnold dies in another war. She accuses him of being a noble idiot who mistakes emotional neglect for protection. Rishi drives the knife deeper, saying that if Theodore dies before him, he will spend the rest of his miserable life drowning in regret. The idea that Theodore might die first hits Arnold like a punch to his royal ego, and the stoic warlord finally flinches like someone kicked his soul. On the roof, Rishi finds Theodore ready to jump. She tries to convince him that she has a plan to save Arnold, but the emotional disaster refuses to listen. He throws himself off the edge, hoping his death will trap Arnold in life and duty. Before she can scream, Arnold appears like the B-grade hero he is and catches Theodore mid-fall. The brothers finally drop their walls, with Arnold admitting he does care. It's the most awkward love confession between two men who can't even talk properly. Rishi, watching them bond, feels her body give up after another week without sleep, and she collapses into the arms of her simp. When she wakes, Arnold thanks her for saving his brother and teases her about their earlier kiss, proving he's still a shameless idiot. Theodore returns to his charity work, this time actually helping people. This formerly useless loser finally seems to be growing a brain, and he even offers Rishi access to his slum network for her future plans. Rishi, however, asks Theodore for an unusual favor. No one knows what she is scheming, but when this woman starts plotting, kingdoms tremble, and men lose sleep. Soon after, she shocks everyone by requesting Arnold to move into her villa, but in separate bedrooms. The horny emperor to-be accepts with a smirk, sensing this will be another entertaining disaster. He knows she is planning something, but he also knows boredom dies around her faster than soldiers in his wars. Rishi then requests sword training from Arnold, asking him to learn the secret combat style known only to him and the Imperial Guards. The idiot agrees, eager to show off. During their duel, Rishi studies every move, comparing him to the brutal version of himself she once fought before dying in her 6th life. The overconfident simp god still defeats her easily, yet he notices her strange footwork, almost like she once fought someone even stronger. He wonders who it was, unaware the answer is him, as this woman literally died fighting him. For his victory, Arnold invites her to join him for a city visit in 2 days. Then, like the showy pervert he is, he lifts her into his arms because her legs are too sore to walk. She turns red from embarrassment while everyone watches, realizing the man can conquer nations, but still prefers pussy over conquering the world. He carries her like a prize, but both of them know who's really in control. After he moves into her villa, Rishi notices his unhealthy habits. The workaholic idiot skips sleep and buries himself in documents. She forces him to take a nap, sitting by his side until he finally gives in. Watching him sleep, she sees the old scars again, each one a silent confession of his bloody past, and when she stays beside him, he realizes it is easier to sleep when she is around. Rishi accidentally falls asleep too, and when that idiot's secretary, Oliver, walks in, the near scandal almost explodes. The terrified secretary runs off, pretending he saw nothing. Later, Rishi acquires a boy's wig from Kane and disguises herself as a boy. She plans to infiltrate on a 10-day night training course. It turns out that the secret favor from Theodore was to get her enrolled into the night training program. And now disguised as a man named Lucius, she has become a soldier among fools, proving again that intelligence is rarer than talent in the Empire. Count Lawvine oversees the course, an honorable man so loyal it could kill him. In fact, she remembers it actually does. 3 years from now, he'll be labeled a war criminal for doing exactly what he was told and will be executed by Arnold. She trains under him but keeps her disguise tight, knowing one wrong move could turn her 10th day training into a public execution. For the city visit, Elsie and the other fashion-obsessed idiots attack her wardrobe and force her into a beautiful dress that looks like a trap disguised as silk. The poor girl gets dolled up like a porcelain doll on auction, all while muttering that this is supposed to be work, not a date. Arnold arrives to escort her with the kind of confidence only a man this insufferably smug can pull off. He takes her to Maela, owner of an exclusive jewelry shop, so pretentious that even the air inside smells expensive. Maela tests the merchant skills of Rishi by showing her gemstones and demanding she spot the fakes. The greedy jewel witch expects failure, but Rishi passes the test easily thanks to her merchant life in a previous loop. Impressed, Maela allows Arnold to purchase an item for her, a wedding ring. The horny warlord calls it a symbol of their future, and Rishi almost chokes, remembering that rings are not even part of their wedding traditions. Still, she gives in when Arnold mentions the purchase will help boost the Empire's economy. Then, in a moment of absolute brain failure, Rishi requests a jewel matching the icy blue of his eyes, but she immediately regrets it, realizing she just described his gaze like a lovesick poet. Arnold, of course, smirks like the smug idiot he is, enjoying every second of her embarrassment. Rishi pieces together that Arnold intentionally scheduled this outing to overlap with the arrival of Prince Kyle from Koyols, a small, wealthy kingdom that he annihilates in the future. She remembers Kyle as the fragile noble flower from her herbalist life, always one sneeze away from death. Arnold clearly despises him, certain he hides some agenda, and orders Count Lawvine to watch him closely. With Lawvine keep hanging around too much, Rishi grows concerned that the loyal fool might realize Lucius the knight and Rishi, the fiancé, is one and the same, and that revelation could blow her cover faster than any war. Rishi wants the sickly royal twig Kyle to get better, but now she faces a problem large enough to fry what's left of her brain. She must deliver medicine to Kyle, but one major obstacle stands in her way, that loyal watchdog Lawvine, whose dedication is only matched by his inability to mind his own business. The dutiful idiot watches her every move like she's smuggling contraband instead of compassion. Still, Rishi somehow manages to sneak past the Empire's most persistent babysitter without blowing her cover, and by pure chance, she runs into Professor Michelle, her old herbalism instructor from her third life. The mad scientist in human clothes still reeks of overconfidence and curiosity. With his help, Kyle finally agrees to take the new medicine she created. Mitchell, however, senses her unease. The delusional old fool believes she dislikes the formula because of its bitterness, unaware that in her past life, they made it together before she abandoned him for using human test subjects. He continues to talk about progress and science, still thinking ethics are just optional accessories. Rishi resists the urge to punch him in the face and focuses on keeping Kyle alive. Because of the late hour, Arnold eventually shows up to fetch her. The overprotective control freak scolds her for working too long, then gives her his pocket watch so she will stop being late. The gesture is half sweet, half dominant, like everything he does. Even his affection comes with time limits. Rishi shares that Michelle sees himself as an alchemist, not just a professor. Arnold seems amused, probably thinking he found another madman to add to his empire's collection of weirdos. At the next royal party, Rishi takes satisfaction in seeing Kyle already recovering. The sickly prince looks less like a ghost and more like a slightly functional human. Using her hunting experience from her 5th life, she moves gracefully through the crowd, pretending to socialize while actually dodging the hawk-like gaze of Lawvine. The devoted idiot never stops watching, so she blends in with nobles and servants alike. Kyle later approaches Arnold with a deal, asking for soldiers to protect Koyol's in exchange for gold and jewels. The desperate prince tries to sound confident, but Arnold sees through him immediately. He realizes that the gold mines of Koyol's must have run dry, and the kingdom is actually collapsing. Instead of helping, he coldly suggests conquering Koyol's first for profit. He calls it strategic logic, but Rishi knows it's the same greed that will ignite the war in the future. Standing there, she feels the timeline slipping toward disaster. This moment decides everything, and if she cannot make Arnold respect Kyle as an equal, history will repeat. But even the omniscient genius has no clue how to make two arrogant men see each other as anything more than tools. For the first time, she feels powerless, realizing that intelligence alone might not stop destiny's next punch. Meanwhile, Michel, the mad alchemist with a god complex, hopes to meet Arnold for a serious discussion about alchemy, probably to show off his new invention of death. The man still acts like science exists only to blow up humanity. Riche, on the other hand, struggles through her night training under the name Lucius. The overworked genius starts falling behind because her mind keeps drifting toward the war she knows is coming. Lawvine shares her anxiety, revealing that his son died in the previous war. The man looks like a walking guilt trip wrapped in armor, his loyalty the only thing heavier than his regrets. Arnold suddenly decides to attend the training. The Imperial stalker instantly recognizes her disguised face but stays silent in front of Lawvine, enjoying the comedy too much to ruin it. Later, he corners her in private, smirking at her ridiculous disguise. Finding the whole thing hilarious, the arrogant idiot allows her to continue as long as she remains undiscovered. The order sounds like a threat, but the grin on his face makes it feel more like a challenge, and maybe something filthier. He clearly enjoys watching her sweat. During a quiet moment, Rishi talks with Kyle, who surprises her with his insight. The fragile prince admits he respects Arnold after realizing that many of the Emperor's cruelest acts had hidden purpose. Arnold slaughtered an enemy royal family not out of joy, but to end a war quickly and spare the suffering of the common people. Riche, hearing this, feels a small shift in perspective. For the first time, she sees that beneath the handsome monster's blood-stained hands lies a twisted sense of mercy. Deciding to use this knowledge, she begins to form her own alliance with Kyle. Michel later reveals his newest creation, that is the explosive black powder. The science clown proudly declares he plans to sell it to Arnold for war, unaware that in her 3rd life, this very invention destroyed their friendship. Panic strikes Rishi. She knows once Arnold gets the weapon, the world burns. Growing desperate, she seeks the help of Theodore, asking to borrow some of his spies for a small rebellion. The bored Prince of Mischief finds her request entertaining and agrees, seeing it as free entertainment. Elsewhere, Michel reflects on his past. The sociopathic prodigy remembers creating deadly tools even as a child, convincing himself his life's purpose is to help destroy the world. The thought makes him smile, a terrifying smile that could melt steel. Rishi watches from afar, realizing she stands between two men destined to shape the future, one who kills to protect life, and one who lives to perfect killing. Under the glow of countless fireflies, Rishi stands still, watching their faint light flicker like fragile stars. She finds it strange that the man who caused all her fear, the murderous idiot emperor in training, is also the one her heart cannot stay away from. The irony feels like a curse written by a drunk god. To better see the fireflies, she impulsively jumps from her balcony toward Arnold's, forgetting that gravity is not a friend. The reckless genius almost crashes but ends up caught by Arnold and gets embarrassed. Arnold watches the fireflies with disdain. To him, they resemble the torches of soldiers burning on blood-soaked battlefields. The sight brings back his hatred, not just for war, but for the cowardly emperor, father who raised him, and for the entire rotten kingdom of Galkine. The man hates his homeland more than his enemies, and somehow still plans to rule it. He then warns Rishi that if the day comes when she stands in his way, he will kill her himself. The threat rolls off his tongue like a love confession dipped in venom. Even his promises of murder sound seductive, and despite the warning, Rishi swears she will change how he sees the world. So, as a part of her plan, she gets several rare metals from Kyle to aid her next project. Meanwhile, Michel, the mad genius of mass destruction, successfully escapes the spies, proving again that insanity always outsmarts bureaucracy. Later, Rishi helps Kyle present his case before Arnold. Kyle insists that his kingdom's jewelers can redirect their skills toward making precise clockwork mechanisms, similar to those in Arnold's rare pocket watch. This pitiful prince of broken lungs pleads that such technology could benefit the world. Arnold listens, unimpressed, reminding everyone that he could simply take everything by force. The military maniac claims conquest is faster than cooperation, yet Kyle refuses to give up, stubbornly choosing to believe Arnold can pick peace over war. Theodore interrupts the tense meeting, reporting that Michelle vanished for 3 hours before reappearing in the castle gardens. He says he suspects something dark brewing beneath the calm. Arnold's expression shifts from icy calm to something unreadable, and this makes Rishi and Theodore nervous, as they have no idea what he is planning to do. Michelle finally reveals his grand performance. He proudly announces that he has planted a bomb in town to prove the power of his black powder. The psychotic genius grins, like a child, showing off a new toy, completely blind to the terror he causes. Unfortunately for him, Rishi already knows his plan from her third life. And it turns out, this time looping witch of logic has outsmarted him once again, having secretly turned his bomb into harmless fireworks with the help of Theodore. The night sky erupts in beautiful colors instead of flames, humiliating Michelle and saving the city. Stunned, Michelle finally understands what Rishi has been trying to teach him, that black powder does not have to exist only for destruction. He realizes that even chaos can create beauty if guided by the right hands. Arnold, witnessing it all, forms a treaty with Kyols, marking a rare victory for peace over greed. For once, the war-addicted emperor uses his brain before his sword. Still, his darker instincts linger. Arnold secretly considers killing Michelle to prevent any future disasters. The murderous hypocrite cannot resist solving every problem with death. Sensing his intent, Rishi drops her trump card. She reveals that Michelle is the genius who invented the pocket watch Arnold treasures so much. Killing him now would be like breaking his own reflection. Somehow, he gets what she is saying and swallows his pride. He spares Michelle's life, though not his irritation. Rishi smiles, hoping Arnold will learn the same lesson as Michelle and will realize his skills aren't only valuable for waging wars. Later, Rishi's wedding ring finally arrives. Arnold pretends it means nothing, but when she insists it already carries deep emotion, he falters. The emotionally broken idiot hesitates before placing it on her finger, pretending it's a political gesture. But the moment his skin brushes hers, something shifts in his pants. He stares at the ring, and at her like a pervert. Rishi, watching the faint warmth in his eyes and a bulge in his pants, asks if they can go on a trip to discover more wonderful things together. The perverted horny crown prince smirks and refuses, hinting he already found something wonderful that he enjoys too much, and it clearly isn't diplomacy. Rishi hides her smile, realizing she has changed his heart, even just a little. For her, small victories matter. Each one brings her closer to rewriting fate. And that is it for today. If you enjoyed this recap, don't forget to subscribe, hit the like button and drop your thoughts in the comments. Until next time.